Hello, hello, everyone. We have reached the end of Mindsight. And I feel so, accomplished, I guess. Proud of myself for sticking with it. And I just have loved what I was able to research and put forth. What started out as just what originally Mindsight was going to be was just small snippets of some psycho-spirituality research and how that inspires me, how my ideas formulate going off of a keyword or phrase for each month. And it just led down so many beautiful rabbit holes that, looking back, I just am so surprised that I was able to get so inspired. And some of the videos that I have put out of Mindsight are pretty long, so I was pretty surprised. And I didn't want to come off as like having this like teacher persona. It just happened to, I think that some of them ended up that way, where I was teaching something instead of learning it with you guys, which was what was actually happening. So please forgive my motherly nostalgia here, but just enjoy this small clip of some of the Mindsights from the last year. I had to put a montage of clips together for me. I don't know how popular Mindsight 2020 is, but I just felt so inspired in December to do something, stick with something every month that would inspire me. And a lot of these have turned into other videos. They have given me ideas that I would take notes on, and that would generate other ideas to put forth more videos. And because I started my channel in the end of December 2019, I'm almost at my channelversary. So excited that I've been on YouTube for a year. It really helped me to stick with a plan. Not so much that I wanted to have a severe plan, but I did want to have lots of ideas for a channel starting out. That way I wouldn't slide off into a hole where I would run out of ideas. So I wanted to do something every month that would generate inspiration, my love of studying, my love of research, and it really did. And it's turned out to be so beautiful. I'm very proud of it. And I have a whole notebook here that is full of my Mindsight ideas. Like spreads and different things ideas that I've had. And I did, back in December when I realized I wanted to do this, I wrote down, I don't know if y'all be able to really see, but I wrote down little notes, and then I put justice for self. I didn't have a clip of that, but that was probably my favorite Mindsight, is justice for self. I wanted to start January's Mindsight off with something that I could hold space with. How to hold space for myself, how to hold space for others, because in my family, I guess it goes with being the black sheep, which is inspiring me to make a whole other video about this right now, in the future, but I guess being the black sheep my mind works so differently than so many of my family members that I've always tended to be the one that everyone goes to for advice and just to listen. And so it's been really inspiring that people choose me to be their confidant or their like amateur therapist, really. And it does get to me sometimes, as an introvert, as a sort of an empath, and I feel blessed. But then on the other hand, I needed to affirm what holding space meant for me, what holding space means for self. And I think that was the best way to start out Mindsight, was justice. And so that was probably my favorite of all the videos I've done. I've done so many good ones. But anyway, I wanted today, as a conclusion video, I wanted to kind of touch on some of the subjects, not in depth at all, but touch on all that I was able to research and things. Like, I know that for a lot of these, I tweaked it. And once I would pull it out on a dark moon night, which is a few days before the new moon, I would pull out a new one to work through all the way till the next new moon when I would upload. And so I kind of sat with, one of these for a whole month and then would make a video and upload it. And it really worked out. Plus, the whole objective here was for me to, right now at the conclusion, to look back in hindsight and see what I could see as far as what could propel me in year 2 of my YouTube journey. What videos could I put forth? What new ideas could I put forth? Do I want to continue Mindsight? Maybe call it something different. Do I want to do something completely different than Mindsight? And I've kind of sat with it the last week and thought about it. And I think that what I want to do is put Mindsight to bed, because what it was supposed to be was Mindsight 2020, not Mindsight 2021. And I think that will really help me with letting things go. Letting this go. I birthed it. I brought it out. I gave it out to people, to you guys, and I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud to have brought it forth into the world and how much inspiration it gave me. But then I'm also, I'm just as proud of it to put it to bed for good. To go back to my channel in years to come and think about what I did that very first year of my YouTube journey. And I'll continue to look back on it in hindsight. So that's what it was. And anyway, let's give a little bit of a clarifier if you're new here, okay? Hi. January was justice. I already said that was probably my favorite. I loved that I started out with justice for self and how that looks for me and how that may look for you. February, free your mind. This was so fun because I remember it was freeing your mind from, I did a whole other video about intrusive thoughts, those thoughts that come on and you can't help it. It's almost involuntary. So that's a little bit something, this was a little bit more vague than that. How to free your mind up from all the sludge, not just those specific intrusive thoughts. So that was pretty fun. March Madness was anger. How anger is on the brain and how your brain interprets anger and how to overcome certain situations, because anger is a powerful thing. And I believe that sometimes it's necessary, but then sometimes you need external help, and that's perfectly okay. B100, okay? This is just spirituality via Lennon, April, alignment, law of attraction, manifestation. What is the fuel? May, magnificent mind. This was really cool because I think what I ended up doing in May was I think what I was doing with magnificent mind was how spirituality works with the brain, like in terms of prayer and singing and chanting and things like that, how that gets generated in the brain. And then I actually put some science behind that, which was pretty fun. I'm always looking at the science plus magic. Let's see. June was joyful essence. This was a really vulnerable video for me because it was about joy. and it was about bliss, and it was about a lot of times in my life I wasn't joyful. I was content, but not joyful, and not, I was just kind of wading through life. No real ambition, no friends. I still don't have any friends. I have lots, and I want to sit here and state that I've made a lot of YouTube friends that I talk to outside of YouTube, or even in the comments. Like, I consider the people that comment on my videos, or that we actually have like 4 comments worth of dialogue in the comment section. That's beautiful to me, because I don't have that outside in my real life outside of YouTube. I only have my siblings and my mother, who I consider my close friends. While that is beautiful, I can't be real with him, because I am very much in the broom closet with this stuff. And a lot of these topics are still taboo for my family. So June was a very vulnerable video. July, I believe, is the intrusive thoughts. That is the thoughts that come in like train wrecks, and you can't stop them, and they're involuntary. And when they come about, you kind of think, shit, am I really this bad of a person? Am I going to act on these thoughts? And that's not the purpose of an intrusive thought. And that was a really interesting topic to tackle. August, abyss. This, I think, was supposed to be shadow. It was supposed to be a shadow work, maybe. The abyss. Oh, I remember what I did. The abyss of the soul. I did August's abyss on the dark night of the soul. It was the abyss of the soul, and how I interpret that versus the research that I was able to gain. The knowledge that I was able to gain, I kind of interpreted that and put it into my own words. The abyss of the soul and the dark night of the soul, and how they are different. September was a fun video, because I was in the harvest mode. I was harvesting all my herbs, and there was so much, there's in September here where I live, it very much is a harvesty festival, a harvesty time of year. So I was in that mindset. So I used seed, and how we're all seeds, and how we may generate things and put forth our own seeds. But then we were a seedling, and ancestor work, and it was just leading up to October and Samhain and all that. It really felt like a beautiful thing to have seed right there in September before the Samhain season. So that was good. October. I think I dressed up for this. October was death. I dressed up as the bombshell. That's right. I dressed up as the bombshell, this Marilyn Monroe character. Okay, I didn't do it justice, but I dressed up as Marilyn Monroe and talked about spiritual death and all of that encompasses. And that was a very powerful video for me, because I had been obsessed with death all my life. And it was so nice to take just death, the end of life, out of it. What other deaths are there? What other kinds of deaths are there in terms of psychospirituality? Ego deaths and that stuff. And then I looked at some tarot death cards at the very end of that video. So that was pretty fun, because I really have probably always needed to dive into the death topic because of my love of the topic of death. Does that sound morbid? Whatever. November leading up to the November Mindsight was difficult, because I was feeling blah. I guess you could say that 2020 had finally gotten to me and my family. My area hasn't been in lockdown since I think May. So when the kids went back to school in August, they actually went. We were no longer in lockdown then. And they were wearing masks. Everyone was mandated to wear a mask. And there were lots of stations set up at the schools. So but I live in an area where it's not that greatly impacted. So anyway, we weren't impacted in that respect. And my husband was still able to go to work. So nothing really severely changed, like with some people. And my heart goes out to them. But I don't know, something about November. And the topic that I wrote down for November was notorious. Risk-taking, complacency, understanding rewards versus failure. This really would have been a very good topic to dive into. But what I ended up doing was nihilism. Because of my lackadaisical, blase blah attitude in November, leading up to when I would have made that video, I had been reading some Nietzsche. And I say in that video, you can go either way with him, okay? You can either be very inspired on what he has to say, or it can leave you feeling kind of, damn, this shit's heavy. So it really spiraled me into wanting to actually talk about nihilism. Not that I myself am a nihilist. I am a pantheist. I believe everything is divine. And whether or not I have a belief, I don't hold the belief that life is meaningless. I don't think I ever have. But there are times in my life when I get into those states of anxiety, because I have that anxiety disorder. I tend to have nihilistic thoughts about life in a general sense. And so I wanted to kind of touch on the difference between being a nihilist and having nihilistic thoughts. So that was pretty interesting, even though that video is probably the most depressive of my whole, of the whole Mindsight. And then December was the end is not an ending. Because December didn't have a topic. Because I wanted this installment of Mindsight to look back on all the others in hindsight. And it's been a beautiful process to sit with and think about. Once I put nihilism to bed a few days after I uploaded the video, I was still feeling kind of blah. But then it dawned on me one day. I'm done. I did it. I accomplished this. I touched on some pretty cool topics. And I want to say something right here that, what is happening with my shirt? I wanted to say something that I have not posted a video from the Big Mama chair. This is my Big Mama chair. Okay, my kids call it my Big Mama chair because it's a monstrosity of a chair. Okay, it's one of them big ass lazy boys. Found it at the thrift store for $10. Perfect condition, except for a little bit of rips in it, but I don't care. And it's been so long since I sat in the mama chair because the living room had just gotten so blown up with crap, and I could not keep it decluttered. So when it was time to put the Christmas tree up and things like that, I realized that in order to fit the damn thing in here, I would have to move the living room around and really declutter. So I took a whole 5 days, I think, while the kids were in school, and just deep cleaned everything, like walls and bookcases, and dusted and decluttered and things. And I have to move some of my plants. This is my beautiful mandevilla. You might have seen it outside, but it's very much kind of a tropical plant. So in the winter, she has to come inside. So I love that she's right here. But I was able to clear this out. I put both of my bookcases together, which makes me look so smart in a video, doesn't it? But when I want to reference something, I could just pull it out. And so I love that. And I have my little antique lamp and my Harry Potter books up there that the kids, they love that shelf. It's just got all my bits and bobs from Harry Potter. And I can sit here and look at the fireplace and look at the Christmas tree, and it's just beautiful. So I moved the room around. And I said all that to say this. That really, really helped me get out of my blah. Moving the room around. The energy must have been so condensed in certain areas that when I would sit in that area, I would feel that tangled web. Think of the Wheel of Fortune card in the Wild Unknown. That tangled web of energy. And by moving the room around and opening spaces and opening my love of where I want to sit. I want to sit here again, you know? That blossomed my energy out and got rid of the blah. And I was able to open my brain up and accept the love of Mindsight. I could sit here in my big mama chair with my notebook, look over all the notes that I've written for all the Mindsights, and share them with you guys. And like I said, I don't know how popular Mindsight 2020 was, but it's still a baby that I'm proud of. It's still a baby that I will look to in the future, in hindsight, in a couple of years. So, anyway, to end this chat, I'm putting Mindsight to bed. And I am introducing next year's new moon video thing, topic. I have been so inspired lately, and I have acquired some new things from thrift stores and things like that, paper and coloring books and new journals and things. I've decided to incorporate more of my art, like art journaling, next year in 2021. As I've put some art, like canvas paintings, on my channel before, and while that's great, I wanted something a little bit more free. And so I'm going to do some art journaling on the new moons next year, and we'll see where it goes. And I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do specifically. You'll have to come back in January for that. But I'm so excited to turn the wheel into 2021 and have something to look forward to. I think that that's the most important thing. I'll be ringing in 2021 as it's like a channelversary. It'll be my 1-year anniversary here on YouTube. So I'll be ringing that in on video with you guys. Maybe not a live, because I don't have a good camera for a live. So like, I use my phone for these videos. Showing my secrets. But anyway, I hope that you all enjoy Mindsight. And if you're years later watching this, thank you. I hope that you get something out of it and take what resonates with you. Leave the rest, because these are my views on these psycho-spiritual topics. But I appreciate all of you who stopped by. Say hey down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Much love.